I don't have a problem with characters just in a pornographic story being, like, say, students in like later high school, because I do feel it's fine enough for people in the ages of 18 and above to be in the sex work industry, though I do think it should be within close an age range, just socially, up till you're 22 in that regard. I've already talked about this. I don't have a problem with the characters being later high school or college students in the story and them being the people engaging in sexual acts. I have a problem when you're honing in on the fact that they are students. That's the problem. That's the fetishization of, like, well, being a student in some sort of educational facility. And let's all be honest here. The only reason that I think most major encroaching pornographic studio companies go towards, like, stories in that regard is because they're trying to, it's the whole, like, psychological marketing, they're trying to, like, it's trying to cater to like, people who may have more hebephilic or amphetaminic tendencies in terms of sexuality, or maybe hebephilic mental disorder, amphetaminic mental disorder, or pedophilic mental disorder. It's definitely, or unless someone's just ignorant to it. Well, actually, I should really change the thing I said about this. I've said this in some of my other videos where I think that there's a difference between maliciousness and ignorance. Well, maliciousness can come from ignorance. I think that there is a difference between maliciousness and benevolence. I'll talk about that in a different video. Anyway, I check again. Yeah, we're fine. Fuck. Damn it. I was supposed to give somebody a call. Okay, I'm sorry, it's gonna have to be tomorrow or some other time. I don't want to lose, maybe I'll regret this, but I don't want to lose my train of thought with this. I really don't. I really don't want to lose my train of thought here. I'm sorry to that person, but I don't want to lose my train of thought. That, honing in on that, I think is very problematic in terms of the portrayal of being a student being inherently sexual, which it is not. And it's definitely trying to, like, portray teens in a more sexually erotic light for the purpose of sexual arousal, which I have problems with, as I've said. Again, I don't have a problem with you portraying it just like teenage sexuality or youth sexuality in terms of, like, a story for what the characters are experiencing. I don't. I've done that with my video games that I've written for portraying young people's sexualities and their development, in certain stories of mine. But I don't. It's not intended for sexual arousal, whereas with pornography it is, and it's just, I think it's a very detrimental fetish. I don't think there's a way for that one to be done well. I don't, at all. Let's say another one that could be really detrimental. Okay, well, here. Anything pertaining to children is absolutely detrimental, in my opinion. Again, I don't blame the art makers for what people choose to do in their social circles after interpreting their work, but I definitely blame them for the fact that if they're using it just to gain profit, because they're using a manipulative tactic that they know will gain them profit in terms of the pornographic industry, or if they actually believe that in their social life, that's what I have a problem with. And anything pertaining in sex work to people below, like for sexual arousal below the age of 18, in my logical sense, I have a major problem with that. Not people knowing we're just talking about stuff pertaining to that at a younger age than 18, because again, intellectual maturity varies, and I think people deserve to be involved in conversations relating to it, and should be taken seriously and have their ideas taken into account. But anyway, in actual, physically in it, no. And I don't condone the people in it trying to harp on it, I guess is what I would say. And in terms of this video is getting quite long, as you can tell. So swinging it back to is porn better with story or without? Well, in some facet or another, having a story, in my opinion, or a story done well, having characters in it, all people, in my opinion, are flawed. Thus, as well, characters are flawed, or should, I guess, in my opinion, be portrayed as flawed people, to make something more realistic in the sense, well, making something fictional, but also in relation to how the actual human life is, human psychologies and physical, our bodies, in relation to sexual body work, and just human behavior in general. We are flawed in every facet. So portraying a character, well, in my opinion, would mean portraying them as flawed people. Now, portraying someone as a flawed person, however, in relation to sexuality, that relates to sexuality as well, and what someone may be into, or their fetishes and kinks, or how they behave sexually, and what they engage in general. So, how could you do that in a pornographic story without it, to some extent, becoming detrimental if it's for sexual arousal? That could also lead into just standardized storytelling or just art in general. Maybe I think I'll do another video on this. Relates to my morality crisis of, is art really just not more detrimental for people? Because in some way, at least in characters and stories, is it not, are characters and stories, specifically in relation to ethnic groups and cultural backgrounds, or in relation to LGBTQ plus and things like that, anything, just someone of any background, is there not a chance in some way that some form of art, even in the slightest way, is going to be stereotypical, or in, I guess, some way stigmatizing? It's like that, I think in some regard that really is inevitable, but point being, like here, though, in relation to pornography, is it better to, so portraying someone in the sexual act while making them a flawed character in terms of relation to story writing process, that can relate to their sexual behavior as well. How do you, you would have to portray them in some flawed way. Like, you can portray them in flawed ways sexually too, or maybe something that leads to the sexual act in some way in the story. But in terms of sexual arousal, that could lead to iffy issues. And obviously, people are varied. No one's going to agree exactly on what is terrible to portray, or a bad representation of something, or could be encroaching for sexual arousal. It's just, and I do believe you should portray your characters as flawed even in sexual, because that would make them more human, and that's more realistic pornography, in my opinion, having flawed characters, and realistic body types for the actors. Now, obviously, you shouldn't discriminate towards anyone's body who comes towards you. Even if you're looking for a part in pornography, it could, I guess, be somewhat discriminating if you're looking for like this body type or that body type, when really, if a character calls for that body type, then fine, but this is what I'm saying with my morality crisis, how it relates to it. But then, okay, so the downside with having story in pornography is in my opinion, to do it well, you would have to portray them in some flawed manner, whether leading up to the sexual act or even the sexual act in and of itself in some way, while still trying to make it beneficial for the person watching it and arousing and not encroaching in any sort of way in terms of the portrayal, and realistic in that sense. And if you enjoy, again, with my belief of self-maintaining altruism, I think you should do things for yourself, but to also benefit others in both semblance, as more of a balanced lifestyle, I guess. But okay, so portraying them as flawed, you would have to, to a certain extent. Whereas, if we were just doing the representation of the sexuality and the sensualism with just the physical intercourse or just sexual act of the actors, then then it would just, then it's just it's just them physically engaging in it. There is no story build up to it. There's no characters technically with it. There's no named characters at the very least. Obviously, portraying it through the metaphysical lens of a camera, you can count them as like characters, but I mean, just showing the performers having sex. That's what I'm getting at. No build up for like any sort of story line to it. Just the physical intimacy is what is being portrayed. And that's also, in my opinion, fantastic way to portray it too. In fact, if I was to go, my ideas initially for going into the industry would be, mainly I would actually be doing that. I did have ideas for like stories that could be done in pornography and with other people, but even if I was to do it solo and with other people, I would more so, mine I guess was going to lean more towards just portraying the physical intimacy. But if I had to say, in terms of overall detriment, and I think that it can be done well logically, but if we're just going with like overall like less problematic, or the chance of it being problematic, I guess I would have to say that just the portrayal of the sensualism and like intimacy itself, and the sex between the actors would be less detrimental, or less potentially, I don't want to say harmful, less less problematic. It has less issues just portraying it that way without a story in terms of sexual entertainment, specifically with adult film or well, with pornography. It would be less detrimental to portray it without a story. And again, there are fantastic stories in my opinion in pornography. Really that's where the list I have is going to come in. What's the percentage now? 10%. Let me just, how am I going to set you down? Okay, so this video is getting long enough. I think you get the point of what I'm saying overall with this. I wanted to talk about this for a while. When I rewatch this video, I know I'm not going to be happy with it, as all my videos. I'm going to record another one after this. Probably make it less long. The next one's just going to be, I guess, just what I'm doing in general. But if I can, there we go, on a different one. Woods. Okay, so I wrote this for a reason. When I was at where I mainly been situated here in Ottawa earlier. Don't mind the note on the back, that was for different video. That was for that's what I said, it was for the other form. It's the other three forms of manipulation that I wanted to talk about in terms of psychological manipulation. So here, I wrote a list out of some of my favorite pornographic content creators, and I've written it out because I think out of all of this, what I talk about in terms of, I know how much I've talked about on this channel in terms of like what I feel to be the benefits of pornography, the downsides of it, and just sex work in general. And its relation to sociology and psychology, and just its place in entertainment. But I've never actually really mentioned like what content of it I consume. I've talked about like methods in like the second part of Exploring Ottawa of how to maybe enjoy it better, which I said I was going to talk about here, but you know what? No, it's getting too long. You want to watch that video, go watch that video. And skip to the end if you want to just hear the part where I'm talking about methods for possibly other methods of detecting porn addiction, pornographic addiction, if you may have it. And towards the end of it, the third method I talked about, where I find it just helped me enjoy pornography a lot more, and just sexual entertainment. But in terms of like just creators what I thought I should actually go over some creators that I would recommend to people to check it out. Don't you dare fall. Don't slip off my knee, you son of a bitch. Please tell me you didn't. Okay, yeah, you're still charging. So I'm just going to recommend them here, and I'm going to explain a bit about them. I'm sitting on the edge of this little wooden seat right by this elevator, just so that this charger doesn't fall. As if it does fall, I guarantee you it's yoinking the cord out, and it's going to tip my phone with it, and the whole tripod may fall, and then I'll be very sad or very distraught, and I hope nothing will break. And when I edit this, I'll put their names like up here with that as well. So I'm gonna read them off. So actually, every single one of these creators in here, and creators and actors, or like models, I would say, or like just creators and performers, or both. All of them are in the pornography industry, and only 2 of them are in the strip dancing industry. And I'll explain more of that. So, first one I'm going to recommend here is, I guarantee you, anyone who's a furry out there and engages in sexual entertainment knows who this is. Now, I'm not personally a furry. Says every in denial furry across the internet. Okay, but in all seriousness, I'm not personally a furry. I have no problem with. There's a fetish, furry fetish. I don't think that's detrimental in and of itself. People may just enjoy or have a rush from the aesthetic of more animalistic designs of some kind. It does not mean over fetishization would be condoning bestiality, which is a problem heavily. But I don't think that furries in and of themselves. Okay, I'm going to say this right now. Let's just be clear here. Most furries do not condone bestiality. That's not. I'm actually going to say this right now. I think it would be fair to say that many furries don't even go as far as having a animalistic aesthetic. At the very least, not as far as a fursuit. So, for any of you out there who actually have a problem with it, just actually talk to people in the community, for God's sakes. Like, hear points from people who have researched about them and know about what. You can talk with people outside of the community about it, but go with people's opinions from outside the community and get it also mainly though from people within the community of whatever you're talking about. Which is what I've had to do when researching heavily for my game writing, because I've written from perspectives of multiple different cultures, backgrounds, races, genders, sexualities for it. But I'll talk about, actually, yeah, I've been mulling that over in my head, but I'll get into that in a bit. So this one, you've actually, even if you're not, you've probably seen memes of it. Definitely seen memes of it. Is I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Is April underscore Foss. I hope I pronounced that right. I really do hope I pronounced that right. Every time that one that I type it into the search bar, it just I spell it wrong. Every time I spell it wrong, I forget the I that's at the beginning of their name. So yeah, April underscore Foss or E underscore F or just EF if you want to call them that, or April Foss, I guess. Who are they? Well, they are a furry pornographic animator, and now, why do I think they're so good at what they do? One, I'm going to say right now, I'm not into personally the furry aesthetic of it, but for those of you who are hear me out, for those of you who are weary of I'm not really wanting to check that out, it relates to furry stuff. Her designs, I will say, not only are they incredible in my opinion, they're very well detailed, they're very realistic in terms of the humanoid body structuring, how they, in terms of the body type, they do have a bit of a similar body type for most of their, it is a bit of a similar body type for a lot of the designs they have, but most of them are very, in terms of more realistic. They're realistic in terms of human physique. And the point I'm trying to get at that is, if you're a bit weary because of it being furry related, I assure you their designs are very humanoid. they're very humanoid. They're minimal animalistic, other than the fact that, well, for ears, whiskers, and tail, they're very humanoid. Very humanoid is what I'll say. Now, they do mainly story-based pornographic animation. And one of the reasons, as I just said, their physical body types that they draw are realistic for more like people on the slim side of physical appearance, but they are very good at portraying, I feel at least, they are very good at portraying the beauty of sensualism with the sex that is shown, whilst making the characters flawed, at least how I feel. They have a really fantastic film, like, it's short films, obviously, short film, called Ace. And if you're on the hub or whatever, I implore you to look it up. Most of the comments are actually about, wow, this was genuinely a beautiful story. I actually had to stop jerking off just to see it. Someone coming there, it seems, for not as, well, what I would feel morally is not the greatest reasons, but genuinely we're all like, this is an incredible story. And it genuinely was. The story Ace that they made between basically two late high school characters. One gets injured and they reveal to someone they had a crush on whilst in the hospital bed about how they've had romantic interest in them. And the other person confirms their opinion and they have sex in the hospital bed. And it is genuinely incredibly sensual and incredibly rousing, and it's genuinely a good portrayal, in my opinion, of flawed characters engaging in a sexual act, and having it be used for sexual arousal, I think, in a healthy manner. I don't think it's, with obviously the elements of fantasization in there, a bit more dramatized, obviously, which I don't think is a problem logically, as I've said with my... For as much as I've given names to philosophical beliefs that I didn't think had really well-rounded names, I've really got to give a name to this one where I feel that entertainment should be just realistic enough so that you can relate to it, but just fictional enough to where you can relax and like escape into it and get immersed in the world away from your own, but also could give you ideas for the real world around you. I need to come up with a name for that. If there isn't already, I haven't tried actually looking that one up. Maybe there is a name for that philosophy. But anyway, so Aprilreal_Foss. Also, they have two other films that involve two characters. They're mainly known for the two characters, Rowan and don't tell me I'm gonna forget the female characters now. It's Rowan and damn, no, don't forget it. Don't block it out now. Purple Cat and Beige Cat. Beige Cat lady, Purple Cat guy. They're mainly known for those two characters. And again, the way that they portray these characters, I genuinely think is, well, it's obviously, they had a lot of comedy as well, like sexual comedy. They also have sexual comedy into their pornographic films, which I do actually think logically works. It is genuinely funny. However, that also relates to why I guess it could be better to not do a story-based one with your pornographic work, is that anything with comedy could somewhat, well, not like in terms of sexual comedy, could be bit iffy, but from my logical stance, they are very good at it. They are really, really good at it. There's one with the, it's a film where these two characters are having sexual relations within a bathtub, and it's genuinely very well made. But there's a joke in there, and it's, I think the joke might actually be the name of the film itself. Probably is. No, yeah, it is. I think it is. But it's a dark joke. It's a very dark joke. But well, in that regard, I think it was pretty well done in that sense. But if also, oh yes, another thing that I will give them props for is they are very good at portraying realistic. Whole bunch of noises in this place, not just the people going back and forth. They are very good at portraying a realistic amount of time for the duration of the sexual acts, like for sex. They are very good at that, and portraying how long, like people with more masculine genitalia and masculine reproductive systems, how long they can mainly last during that act. They are very good at portraying that. Let me tell you, it's a short amount of time. It's not, on average, it's not this long, like, multiple cuts and things like that. Not that in those films that have that is anything wrong with that in terms of fantasization. However, I do, a way to combat, like, maybe if there's a thing in terms of just general artistic creation, maybe a way to combat stereotyping or just portraying something more unrealistically, you could have the message or disclaimer, like at the beginning saying, like, this is not a complete accurate portrayal of something, or this is meant for entertainment purposes, or to create a certain sense or portrayal of something in a certain way. And it doesn't reflect all the experiences of people or just what this thing is. It doesn't reflect it entirely. Maybe something like that. But anyway, design work is really good. Problems, though, problems with aporeal floss. I'm going to maybe say, like, the positive. I gotta go maybe a bit faster than this. Positives and negatives. Those are the positives of aporeal_floss's work. Another positive is this is another thing, I guess, with I just find this kind of odd. I find it odd that I don't like how let me say this. There is a really good pornographic work out there with people in the animation community taking characters that other animators have created for either non-sexual purposes or just in general, and putting them in a sexually arousing position for sexual arousal. And I'm very iffy on that. I've talked about this with someone in the past. I think it's fine to use the characters as like a template for your animation, but I don't know why you don't just create your own characters. And I especially have a problem with it if the original creator of the characters does not approve of that, like does not want their characters being portrayed in that way. I don't like them, obviously, in my opinion, well, there's the issue of copyright, but once something is, like, I guess in the public domain or doesn't have a copyright on it, it's for, like, freedom of expression, I guess. Well, I used to say that maybe I'm going to have to examine my morals in terms of copyright, in terms of a logistic sense, or a legal sense. Anyway, just socially though, I have a problem with people taking characters that someone else has created, not asking them, or not, if the creator has said that they are not okay with a character being presented in this manner, going ahead and presenting them in a sexual manner. Oh my. But that being said, most of these creators on here unfortunately do that, but they do it damn well is the bit here. And I mean that in like, as not in terms of like over-sexualizing the characters, I mean like portraying like characters in a sexual light. I just wish that it wasn't those characters. But going back to April Foss, they are one of the only ones on here, and one of the only ones I've actually seen in the pornographic animation community that only creates their own original characters. They don't take, maybe they take inspiration from, actually, I definitely would say, yeah. It's funny, actually, one of the reasons April Foss is so famous is they're referred to as like the Disney of porn or something like that. Anyway, cutting the chase on this, I guess, they are one of the only ones that really, they create their own characters solely. Even if they're inspired by something else, they have their own characters that they create, which I'm really glad about. Problems though, some of their films, it's where the story scenario comes in. There's a little bit of what would be considered a rape fetish at points. It's not overbearing, and I get the element of fantasization, but it's one thing that I would think, well, if I was at the well, this is gonna sound very egotistical. At the helm of it, like I wouldn't want that. Like it could be changed like so slightly. It's a slight tweaking of like how the scene went. It could have been changed to be more consentful. In fact, actually, there is one film by them, even though the sex that is shown is very damn good. I don't like the lead up to it because it is full blown just portrayal of rape, which. Anyway, but overall, I recommend that you check them out. So there's that one. The next one I will say is called Scud, with 2 Ds and an exclamation point. You may have actually heard about this person as well. They have a YouTube channel as well where they have a few videos. Cause they've worked on different animations, not just in pornography, but they are known for creating. They were either the creator or the main animator of it. I think they were the creator of it as well, I believe. Yes, they were. Of Meru the Succubus, which is an animation that is, again, very well done for the engine that it's in. It's incredibly well done, and it's again, I care more about. Morally, I feel you should care about the actual product itself rather than how it looks, especially in entertainment. But I'm just going to say, in terms of the animation, it's bloody well better. It's better than... But these animators, I will say right now, most of their animation is hands down better than, I would say... Actually, no. It's better than that shitty corporation Illumination. You know, the one that created the Minions and Despicable Me and the crappy Lorax remake 2009 version. Yeah, they're a million times better than them and a lot of major animation companies. Yeah, Scud, they created this series called Meru the Succubus. I think I'm pronouncing that right, Meru. And it's... very interesting storyline. It's about a demon girl, a succubus, which in, I believe, Christian mythology is, well, it's a very sexual and prowess demon that takes control of a female's body to seduce men into seducing them to giving into their sexual desires, yeah, if you couldn't tell, the heavy religious undertones of remain celibate is very prominent in that. Yeah, if I'm remembering that correctly. Feel free, any Christians, to correct me if I'm wrong on that, or experts in the Christian mythology in that stance. But in terms of how that it is portrayed in the story is a succubus girl. Well, a demon possesses the body of a girl who then uses her to gain more power by taking the, ejaculate of boys at the local high school. That's I knew it was gonna happen. I knew the, god damn. Okay. No, damn it all. Bleeding bastard. Frick, hold on. Fine? Okay. I will hold this with, oh my god, I'll hold this with one hand. After I slot that in. Okay, let's try and not make as many exaggerated arm movements. Okay, Scott, that's the story of it. Really good animation, damn good, it's more on the hardcore side of like, in terms of sexual intimacy, it's more of fetish of like hardcore sexual, hardcore sex, I would say. It is, again, very good at portraying said physical intimacy. Very interesting story. However, and again, animation of the characters is really good. However, downsides, again, similar to that one comment I had for April Foss, kind of at points, a bit of like fetishizing of unconsensual nature, which could be fixed. And I know that's kind of the odd thing, though, is where one of the iffy issues with that story, even though it's a very interesting concept, I don't know how you could, because she is a succubus. I don't know how you could portray that without. Well, no, you could. No, you could. There is definitely ways. I was gonna say I don't know how you could portray that without her trying to like forcefully take it, which forcefully, I guess it's not even just forcefully trying to gain sex from people at the school. It's just no, you could. There is definitely ways to it, but very good animation. It's hilarious. There is damn good comedic writing in it. Very good comedic writing, especially from the teacher. The teacher in the story who isn't involved in the sexual acts with the students. Just so you're aware. Good on that. They are very, very funny. Spoiler alert: they're revealed to be some sort of exorcist priest by the end of what I guess is the first season of the story. It was damn funny. It was really damn funny. Really damn well written, in that regard at least. So yes, I recommend that you check that one out, and also check out their YouTube channel. The next one is Mike and Elle. Yes, many of you who aren't familiar with like the pornographic animation genre would be familiar with them from YouTube, which I am as well. They're part of the animation community and have made really great short films. They've anime stylized Gravity Falls, shows like Gravity Falls, and what else do they stylize? Well, they mainly worked on Gravity Falls and the film Zootopia. They also did a more sexualized version of that one scene from Zootopia as well. And they also made a fantastic short film on their channel called Missing. Is it called Missing Halloween? That's the name. That, in my opinion, is one of the best animated short films there is. Missing Halloween. I need to rewatch that. I haven't watched that in so long. Really damn good. But a lot of people actually didn't know that they go by another name, which I, of course, forget. I will look it up and put it here, wherever it is, whatever it is. They go by another name, and they make hentai work, which and I think a lot of people don't understand the definition of that as well. That is just anime style, well, pornography basically. That's what it is. It's that's what that is. But yeah, and they're really damn, again, great animation. Much of it revolves around comedy, like sexual comedy, which, again, with my moral issues on the whole, well, my moral crisis, it's damn hilarious if I'm thinking about it from a logical perspective. However, other parts of it can be problematic, is the thing. I'm going to say I'm not a huge fan of their actual pornographic animation. The animation itself is really damn good. Storyline, some of the storylines for them are problematic. But I will let you check them out and decide for yourself. Just again, animation-wise, very good. Very damn fantastic animation. Okay, the next one would be Zidrin_Butts that's just Zidrin_Butts is or as they're known as by their YouTube channel, which I discovered, Zidrin. Again, very great animation. In terms of in terms of their YouTube channel, they have a lot of. It seems they have a lot more backing to their YouTube channel, or how much. Not how much work is put into it. I guess in terms of just the animation budget, I guess would be for their YouTube channel. Again, I don't care overall about how something looks for that. It's just, anyway, in terms of their pornographic work, it's, well, it's similar, it's similar to, I guess they might take influence from Scud, I don't know, but it's similar in some sense. They don't have like a running storyline, at least right now, in terms of it, but overall, they do rely on a lot of, well, it relies on a lot more fantasy elements, I'll say, to their pornographic work, and sci-fi, I guess, because they're robotics. This is a robot character, which I'm sure many of you are known as Curly, I think the character's name is. So it relies more on things like that, some more, I guess, fantasy or fantasization elements, which you could argue, like, well, what am I saying? Of course the other ones are fantasy. No, like, okay, science fiction and also fantasy characters, in terms of, like, mystical power creatures in a certain sense. It may sound strange, but it is genuinely, in my opinion, very well done and very sensual. However, same problem I would say for really the first three that I mentioned. There are points where certain things could be seen as more unconsentful behavior, which it really is just a minor problem that can be, well, that's not a minor problem, but the issue in the actual videos themselves could be fixed in the storyline with just a tweak of like 1 or 2 words or actions. That's all that really needs to be fixed, which is why I'm not counting these as like terrible portrayals of human sexuality and also just for sexual entertainment, because the animation and working of it is genuinely really damn good, and what they portray in terms of fetishes or even kinks. So, and they also have, on their YouTube channel, they have a series, it's about a very, very dumb, I would say, or is supposed to be very daft, I guess. Male hero character in a fantasy world, going on a quest. Like, I haven't seen the whole like series of it, but it's going on a quest just because they want to be a hero, sort of thing, and someone trying to get rid of them, and eventually just be like, wow, you actually did that. Okay, then fine, maybe you are useful. It's a little cliched, I guess, in that sense, but anyway, I definitely recommend that you check them out. Illustrations, I mainly prefer to watch their YouTube channel, because they have a lot of really great, again, really great style of animation that looks seemingly influenced from anime, and also possibly influenced from maybe Alex Hirsch's style of animation for Gravity Falls and things of the sort. But basically, they rely again on heavy like sensualism, and also a lot of sensualism, sexual sensualism implied in like just certain daily activities, without, in my opinion, over sexualization, and not honing in on like portraying like that act as like the thing itself as being sexual, just using certain activities as being sexual. And though with their stuff mainly relies on just imaging, it's just drawings, it's not any sort of video itself, just drawing pornography basically for animation, is they rely, which I actually really, really enjoy, and I think is really creative, they rely on heavy censorship, or like, well, not heavy, they have a heavy amount of censorship for work, for actually portraying like sexuality, making it sexually arousing, which is the proof point for like, you don't need to show physical nudity even to have something be sexual, is the thing. And I really like their angle with that is that they rely on censorship to portray sensualism away, and not all of their drawings are meant to be sexual. Some are meant to be, and others, and what it actually is an interesting thing in pornographic, well, drawing and animation, some photos or drawings, in terms of like if you're doing more photographic pornography, could be, or just photographic nudity art, or just like art in general, some things could be portrayed as both, depending on how you angle, how you frame something or set something up in a certain way for the shot. It can represent some sort of something meant for sexual arousal, or just sensualism in general, as opposed that they're doing. It could, some things, some bits of art blur the lines of it, where it could be a bit of both, really. And I think illustration actually does a lot of that at points. And again, like I said, in terms of the ones that are meant to be, in terms of their drawings that are meant to be sexual, relies on censorship, like subtle censorship, heavy amounts of subtle censorship, but nonetheless, censorship. And they also, one that definitely wasn't meant to be sexual, it was funny, like, they have, like, they upload, I guess, to Twitter and other forums on Google. There was a funny post that they did where it was, like, character drawing panels, like 4 characters, and they titled it, Thinly Veiled Excuse to Draw My Friend's OC's Character's Naked Challenge, which they just did. And that one wasn't meant to be sexual at all. So yeah, I recommend you check them out as well. This video is 3 hours long. Longest video I've ever made. I don't care. I'm probably not going to get to make the other one that I wanted to make tonight, but whatever. Chunkymoon, or Scruffmuhguff, or as they also can go by as Scruffmuhguff. I'd say a fair amount of like internet goers know about them, in terms of like, not really, well, not maybe to the extent in terms of the pornographic animation community as like April Foss, or maybe Scud, but they're definitely known enough. No, I think they have like close to 500,000 followers on YouTube, that is. But they've been kind of, okay, I'm going to say this again. Animation is very fantastic. They've got a lot of really, they actually, unlike some of the other ones, they portray their characters in very realistic body types, even if they use humanoid characters, and some of them aren't actually human, but nonetheless, they actually do portray like more people who are more characters who are more overweight in their sexual artwork, or who are a bit more skinny, or a bit lanky, or a bit more of curvature. That they have a good wide varying amount of like body types in their actual like catalog, I'd say, like in terms of what they're portraying. They but again, there is the fantasy, the fictional element of it. They use a lot of like, I want to say alienoid creatures. They're humanoid, but like alien type creatures, which is interesting enough. Or they do take characters that from other animation communities that someone has created and turn into a sexual image. Very well done. Like they did one recently, which is a very good one of Mavis from Hotel Transylvania. Very well done. And they also seem to, they might have a flashing fetish, which is not a problem. That's one that I also don't think is inherently a problematic fetish, unless it gets too over fetishization. But again, that's another problem I have with their content, is I don't know why they don't just use one as a template and then make their own character. You can even make a character look similar. You don't have to take someone else's character and make it into something for sexual entertainment. You can make your own. It's just, so that's a problem they have. But and also, in my opinion, they sometimes can get into a bit of an encroaching extent of over fetishization with in terms of portraying their characters' genitalia and things of the sort, and also a bit of over fetishization of a submissive kink, I would say. But other than that, they actually do, it is genuinely very good. And not all of their photo artwork is also meant to be sexual. Some of it is just meant to be silly fun, with characters being unclothed or just nude in the sort. However, for what I talked about earlier in the video of No Nut November, they were doing like weekly drawings of it, and they were comedic. However, a part of it felt like enabling in some sense. I kind of wish they would have just stuck to one drawing, because it kind of seems like they don't take the movement seriously, which is their choice to make. It's just, anyway, I do recommend though that you check them out if you want to see it. So Chunkymoon or Scruffmuhguff, I believe is their second name. Jizuku Art. This one, once again, going to start off with the problem, as I've said. Taking other characters, other animators' characters, and putting them in sexual positions. I don't know why they don't just make their own characters. And from what I know, so they mainly take from, as I mentioned earlier, in terms of a example with Have-Been Hotel and Haluva Boss from Vivzipop's characters. They heavily take inspiration from certain Haluva Boss characters. Not inspiration, they take the Haluva Boss characters for it. And, well, again, wish they would create their own, but fantastic animation. Again, it's more furry-based animation, which, again, more humanoid characteristics. It's not as animalistic for a certain character, if you know what I'm talking about. But I really like the color palettes they use for a lot of, well, I guess not color, maybe it's color palette, I guess, I don't know the digital term for it. The color work from a lot of their pornographic material in terms of drawings, it's very much, it gives the look of like pencil drawn, almost like scribbled in pencil crayon. I don't think they actually did it on paper for most of their drawings, but again, the drawings themselves are very sexual and very arousing and very sensual in terms of what they're portraying, in my opinion, and they're very filled with passion in terms of like the sexual performance being portrayed between the characters. So that is a plus, and that is all good, and in my opinion at least, that is very good portrayal. And in their story-based ones, they again rely on comedy in a lot of it. Very well written in terms of like the lead up to it. It's not even like if theirs isn't more so physical comedy, like physical sexual comedy, just in terms of dialogue comedy, like comedic dialogue, before and during the sexual engagement and stuff. They're known for however, another problem I have is the comic strip they did. The only it's a pornographic comic strip they did. The story is, again, sexual intimacy portrayed in the story is very good. It's really damn good. However, the story that it's around, once it... No, let me take that back. It's not the story that's the problem. Actually, in that sense, it is the characters, in my opinion, that are the problem in that, in the story. The comic is titled, A Night with Luna, and you know that character, you know what I'm talking about. The two characters in it, one is married, and it's basically a story of how, this character's wife is not satisfied with them. They are satisfied in their relationship, but they can't engage in sexual stimulation or like sexual intimacy with their partner because their schlong is too freaking huge. That's actually the point of the friggin' comic. And yes, it is. That is funny. I genuinely think that is a great bit of comedic, good comedic thing to it. However, it is portrayed for sexual arousal as a porno, which I don't think that... See, the thing is, I think something like that, I don't think that should have been... I enjoy that comic really more so as, like... Okay, I do enjoy, obviously, the sexual intimacy drawings of it. It's very damn good and arousing, but the story, I don't think it... I'm hesitant to look at it as, like, a pornographic story because even though it is, I don't think it really should be because, I think it maybe should be looked more at as like just a standardized story about someone in that the characters in that situation, and their reactions to the scenarios they're put in. But the thing is, that could have been fixed if they had just made the character who was in a relationship at the time just say like, hey, I broke up with this person because I can't hold it down like a relation. Here's a way you can make it flawed, like the character's flawed. You know, I'm fine with being on my own, but like I can't hold down a relationship because of this problem I have. And then they laugh and they're like, oh, what? Hey, you want to get together for a night of it? Fine, I'll be with you for a night and show you that. You could have made it so like the character was no longer in the relationship. And I know people will say, well, that's not portraying to the actual characters from the show. Well, I personally don't think it should have even been taken from the characters from the show, but it's like, you can embellish a bit in terms of that. Like, you could have, it just seems like you could have been different. Okay, the next one. I'm gonna go a bit faster because this is getting like very long. You can check these people out if you want. Davies with two eyes. I think a fair amount of people know about this. They're a Chilean animator from Chile, and a lot of their characters actually are inspired from Chilean ethnicity and background in terms of the animalistic designs they give them. They also have a lot of Chinese influence in terms of like the animal designs that they have. Very good, especially in terms similar to Chunkymoon in terms of character design, in terms of like portraying their bodies as different body types and sizes. Problems are some things in their story-based ones are more consentful. Don't like that. Color work is really great. And in terms of vocal performance or like the voice acting they have is very, very good. It's very, very well done in most regards. Very good. I'm not going to pronounce this right at all. Jaguarderic 4. Their animation is fine enough. The designs are fine. The movement of the animation is a little jolty. I think it's fair to say for like the characters, it's jolty. But I don't think. Again, I care more about, like I said, the product itself than how it looks. Really damn good portrayal of intimacy in what they're showing. Realistic duration, also time-wise, realistic duration of like sexual acts. Colors are accurate to problem, in my opinion. They take from characters from another animation. Once again, Vivzy Pop, that seems to be a popular one. And just other animated shows as well. The color, the design and locations are, it's accurate for like the shows, but again, that's just the downside. Other than that, I recommend you check them out. Honey Bowls, I'm not pronouncing that one correct, I don't think. BLS. Honey BLS. Animation again. They've only made 2 videos. Both of them have problems. Animation-wise, they are great. They have a YouTube channel that is really good animation, in my opinion. Again, very sensual in terms of drawing, very good, very unique character design as well. It relies more on minimalist effects, I would say, not in a lazy, not something that would be considered lazy in my opinion, but just minimalistic in terms of they do a lot of, I guess, more illustration than animation. An illustration where it's frame by frame, really. Their first video is involves depression and it's an odd scenario. One of their characters for the sexual act is quite literally the mental disorder of depression. I can't get behind that. For as great as the animation is and as sensual as it is, I can't get behind that character being called depression. Where you could have changed that is literally call them self-love or self-acceptance would have been, I think, a better implication to go for. I get the idea of the joke that was behind the video, just for what it is in terms of sexual entertainment. That part is not the greatest. But other than that, very good. Check them out. Cartoon Seer, not pronouncing that right. Animation, very good. Voice acting, very good as well. Incredible, actually, pretty well on par with Davies' stuff. Designs are good. They are, and also very good, realistic body proportions. That is damn good for what they're portraying. And in terms of the sexual scenarios that they're in, is pretty damn good too, for the most part, with a bit of obviously comedic elements of like fictionalization for certain things. Yeah, check them out. Okay, I'm going to actually just quickly go off of like the animation ones, and then you can check them out yourself. Brachenko 69, fitting name. Their animation is very it's more 3D based animation. It's not as fluid as the other ones I really talk about. But they do a lot of good things. They take video game characters already existing, using it in the pornographic material they make. They make it clear that the characters are portrayed as being over 18. The whole issue of aging up characters for certain sexual scenarios, which is done in standardized media as well, that's another video, another topic for another time. One of my other favorite YouTubers, Malware, actually did a very good video on it. Anyway, they do a lot of things relating to the gender of intersex characters, and they portray that, which is nice to see in an animation form. Just wish, again, it was their own original characters. The sex is very sensual, and it is actually damn good. A lot more relying on more hardcore-based stuff, and a mix of softcore, I guess, as well. Go check them out if you want. And then the last one in terms of, I guess, animation would be NDA, and yes, that stands for, I guess, non-disclosure agreement. I just recently found out about them, and they don't do, I haven't found animation by them, but they do illustration drawings of different characters, and for the most part, they do their own original characters, which is really good, and they do incredible drawing work, and again, portraying realistic body types, and also portraying, like, in terms of physicalities of the characters, actual tan lines on their bodies, which is, again, realistic for, well, the characters that they're trying to portray, and it also just, for people in general, that is realistic, to get tan lines from exposure to UV rays from the sun, and skin pigments. But anyway, very good. However, some of the things that they've drawn are a bit over sexualizing at points. Some, not all. And they had a really good comic strip about a nudist, actually, nudist portrayal with sexuality that they did, and it's however, the second one they did for that was a bit more fetishizing of praise from romantic loneliness, which I don't think should have been, excuse me again, I don't think should have been included with that. But other than that, really good artwork. They have a character called Arbitrary, very good designed character, very sensual animation, all around very good. Go jerk off to it. That's the whole point of this, is like recommending things that I actually think would be good and beneficial pornography to watch for people. Okay, so that's moving away from animation. What about actual, like, people? Actual, like, physical people, like, portrayal of, where are we at now? 18%. Let me check this out. Physical, like, actual human beings, that isn't animation or isn't a humanoid animal. So I'll go over them here. So start with this one. You probably have heard of in some facet if you have heard of it, like, in terms of the cam modeling industry of pornography, you've probably heard of this person, Indigo White. Now, I much more so actually really enjoy their YouTube channel rather than their actual pornographic content. They do make good stuff, in my opinion, on their Pornhub channel, but in terms of yes, they make good sexual entertainment, but in terms of okay, problems I have is and the sex that they portray mainly on doing solo acts is very good, but what I have a problem with is, again, they sometimes rely on like self-made character stories, which I think can get, theirs is very over-sexualized at points and over-fetishized, and I don't think I don't like the lead up basically to what happens then, and it's so, but I very much, definitely for their solo acts, and I guess just in terms of the actual acts themselves, the sexual acts themselves aren't in and of themselves like over fetishized, in my opinion, and I think they're damn good. They're a great performer, in my opinion, and they have a YouTube channel which is really damn good, and I recommend that you check out. They talk about their experiences in the cam modeling industry and just experiences they've had in life, struggles they've gone through, and why they actually got into doing pornographic work. And they also have they share their thoughts on certain political things that have been going on. Not so much now, I guess I'd say more like 2 years ago or so, but I very much recommend you check out their YouTube channel, and also in some regards or certain, I do recommend that you check out their pornographic work. It's just those are the personal cons I have with their stuff. Lee James. Now, I'm going to talk about him with his former girlfriend, Luna Oko as well. So these two are indie pornographic performers. They've worked together mainly on Luna's channel, and they are actually travel vloggers as well. They both have YouTube channels and also channels on the Hub, but they focused on exploring sexual acts in different countries in relation to just locations they visited, and they have very good cinematography when it comes to physical body shots. They're very good at keeping themselves in frame and not fetishizing themselves, and or over sexualizing the places that they're actually in. They're very good at doing that. And however, they did break up a little while back, and they do now. Luna does solo work as well as can work with some other people. She did one more mainstream video, but then I guess went back to mainly doing solo stuff. And then Lee actually, he lives in a small wooden home in, I think it's Portugal, that he built himself, and he shows the process of him building it himself, and gathering materials for it out in the countryside of Portugal. Well, and also hooking up things for internet access to shoot his videos. And also he has a platonic friend who I don't think he's romantically involved in, but they do videos together as well. They're just friends, as a, platonic intimacy. And again, very good. And he also has a video detailing of what he learned from being alone, living alone, and how at one point he thought about mainly getting a dream of more success in terms, I think it was of like being successful in terms of business in relation to pornographic work, but then he learned to, in his view, more settle away from that, and just it's a very good video, and his channel is incredibly well done in my opinion. So is Luna's. Hers is incredibly well done. I highly recommend that you check out both in terms of their work, both their pornographic work and their YouTube work, both separately, or well, both in of their own right. I recommend you check it out. Okay, Emily Bloom. She's also an indie pornographic actress. She has she's worked on stuff for, well, she has her own porno channel and also a YouTube channel, but she's also done like more stuff to film stores, like, because a lot of stuff isn't going to DVD anymore in that regard, but she still has worked on stuff in relation to that. And also I think she branched out into some amount of standardized acting at one point. She does modeling work as well, but modeling not just like for, like, I believe certain fashion shoots, she does modeling work, and also does non-sexual nudity art, photographic art, and there's a very good like, well, portrayals of human nudity in the works that she's done. You can look it up, and just yeah, I recommend you check out her stuff as well. And she does a lot of more, I guess it would be heavy on what would it be called? What's the name? Self-pleasure, subtle stimulation, I guess. Like, I don't know the name, but it's very well done. I recommend that you check her stuff out. Timothy Champagne. He's done work. Well, he does work on. I have no clue if he has any other social media. I know he has a Pornhub. Very good. It centers around gay sexual acts, homosexual sexual acts, and very good, well shot indie filming. In terms of setting up for, like, it's kind of similar to like how I shoot my videos, with similar framework and stuff like that, and camera quality, and the actual acts themselves are genuinely very sensual in how he portrays himself and his friends that he does it with. However, problem is, I hate the titles of his videos. I really do. There is some there is very much over fetishization of straight men for homosexual acts, and I can get into another. I can talk about like stuff relating to similar things like that in a different time. This video is getting way too long. I don't even know if I'll be able to edit it the way I want to without splitting it into two parts. Anyway, yes, go check him out if you want and decipher stuff. Okay, Edward Dwight, similar stuff on the Hub, similar to Timothy Champagne in a sense. Very good framing in my opinion, very interesting, very good. It does a lot of nature fetish type videos. Again, that's not inherently sexual, it's just, I don't think there's a problem with just having a fetish for nature, which actually I'll talk about in a different video. Anyway, what I'm getting at. Similar to them, very good in terms of shooting methods and sensualism. Very much recommend you check it out. Their titles are not near as over fetishizing as Timothy Champagne's, but still recommend you check it out. Erica Lust, she had been making rounds actually. She's a Swedish film director who has been working since I believe 2004 and mainly works, she created her own pornographic shooting company, and she actually gave a TED talk on the subject matter of like how porn needs to change in her opinion, not go away but change for the better. And she's talked about how she has a passion for sexual entertainment and creation of it. She doesn't perform, she's a director and writer of it. And she has a channel as well where she shows off interviews and other things of sex workers in the field of pornography, or just in strip dancing or in prostitution, and also in relation to BDSM therapy in some regard. So recommend you check out her TED Talk, recommend you check out her channel. Yeah, Felicity Feline / Fueled. She has a YouTube channel. I have not checked out any of her pornographic stuff, because of things that had happened to her in the past. She talks about her experiences in more of the mainstream work and how she left it, and even though she still does some pornographic work for solo stuff on things like OnlyFans and stuff like that, of abuse that she suffered during her time working with certain companies for specific genres in the industry, which is also we should talk about in relation to like abusive porn, it's called. Abuse towards women was the main theme of it, which I think is a problematic fetish. That's one that I don't even think that's another one in relation to the other ones I talked about that I don't think is there a good way to fetishize that. But she talks about her experience with it, and what it could be like getting into the pornographic industry and things of the sort, especially more mainstream. Recommend you check out her channel. I don't agree obviously with everything that she says, but it's generally, she's a great person for everything I've seen of her, and great informative videos. Davey Wavy, I think he is well known in the, again, the other two are more indie, but he's well known in the, LGBTQ, in some amount the LGBTQ pornographic field, especially for gay men. He helped create the website, I think it's called hemeros.com, which is, just a gay erotica site with films detailing different fetishes and also relating to sensualism and homosexual experience. He has a channel on YouTube, 2 channels actually, one mainly for, I think, Hemeros, and the other specifically for more of his vlog type videos. So yeah, he's a really interesting guy. He really, from everything he shows of himself, he has a lot of passion behind what he does in relation to it. I don't like every video that he does in terms of like fun challenges he tries to do with it, because it can be a bit over sexualizing of some people, despite again, you know what, you're coming out. Yeah, you know what, enough. You have enough to last until I end this damn video. Okay, this is getting long. Go check them out, decide for yourself. I'll probably talk about like more of these people like in depth in a later video or something. RHR Page, that's what she's known by on her YouTube channel. I forget, Veronica Vicious or something was her stage name. But she was in more mainstream pornography, but she left it, and she talks about a lot of her experiences on her YouTube channel, and she also does other just fun videos trying to just for entertainment purposes of reacting to certain things or just memes overall in video game content. She talks about how she's not ashamed of she never wanted, she said that I've seen some of her stuff and I don't watch it anymore because of like relation to what she's talking about with it. She's talked about how she never wanted to go into pornography. She felt very, it seems safe, I guess, my psychoanalysis of it from what she's talking about, very safe and secure from the very quick money it could bring, almost like an addiction to the quick way of gaining finance. And I guess being more of an entrepreneur in that sense. But she talks about how she's not ashamed of what she did, but she just never wanted to do it, never wanted to do that, and she's also very tired of people, rightfully so, over sexualizing her body or just seeing her for her body, which is, again, is over fetishization of actors in the industry. I really hate that people do that. I've already talked about that. So Anyway, yeah, go check her channel out. Very good. Moving off for a sec from pornographers into strip dancers would be Christina Villegas. Villegas, I think is her last name. She was a strip performer, and actually there's a lot of vlog-related stuff relating to her time in strip performance and working at a club. She just shares a lot of the dangers that could come with it, what to expect when applying for going in for an audition for strip dancing, or just working in most general clubs in North America. She lives in the United States, so it's more particular to there, at least. Well, no, I guess, yeah, it would be the same for a lot of places. I don't like the fact she's also, this is just from my morals, I don't like the fact that she genuinely seems like a wholehearted, genuine person who does enjoy helping people with things, but also, I guess, has her own self-interest as well. But she is a landlord as well for a certain tenant of, she shows around of a house that she had been trying to, a property she had been trying to obtain to lease out, I guess. Again, I don't hate every landlord out there, I'm gonna say that right now. So, yeah, just, you know what I'm trying to say with this? Go check her channel. BB Gunn, another great content creator on YouTube, stripper as well. She talks about her experience with things that she's experienced while working at a club, dangerous experiences that she's had with certain customers getting too close to her comfort, and also very much overstepping their boundaries, the boundaries that she has set, and over-sexualizing her and performers. Talking about certain necessities you may need if you're having, say, a night shift or something at a strip club, or just also her experience with having behavioral. Well, this is kind of debated. Another thing that psychology is kind of debated now, I guess, unless you research, whether it should be considered behavioral or mental disorder. It's a mood disorder, but it relates to behavior of ADHD, focus and attention, being a stripper, experiencing that. And she also had a very great video, I think, where she talked about, basically it was titled that she hates her brain, and how, she can get very agitated with, especially her romantic partner, and go off on certain tangents online, I guess, more than she'd like, without actually trying to resolve it first with them, which I think was very open for her. And, well, I've kind of done, I have done something similar, but I don't think is logically inherently bad, but for many things, well, certain things. But anyway, very good video. Go check her channel out. Athena Evie Squeaks, otherwise known as Liv's Secret Life. I'm not a fan personally of the pornographic content they make, not because of I haven't seen anything actually problematic, I personally think, with it. It's just I'm not personally into the fetishes and kinks that they portray in their work. But I really do enjoy their video content on YouTube. They try on different outfits and lingerie and things like that, just to show them off, and also just show the designs off of how they look on a person. And they've also talked about their experiences with things as well on YouTube, and how, very much unfairly so, YouTube has treated their content. Specifically, it very much seems because they are a sex worker, compared to other people's content, which is very much similar. And also talking about how she was diagnosed with schizotypical personality disorder, which is, again, very good video. And you should go check that out. And the last person I will recommend on here, at the very least for people to check out in this little, just to check out, is Ash Marie. Now she's actually, in my opinion, my favorite content creator in the pornographic industry, mainly because, and I'm gonna link, I can't link any of their hub work here, obviously. I'm not going to. I'm gonna give the names, you can go check them out. But YouTube content I can link in the description. And she has done an interview with BuzzFeed. I don't personally like the company or like the channel. They've done iffy things and they're very sensationalized at points. But her interview was very good. She talks about, and she also has two YouTube channels where she uploads content to. She's only made 3 on one of them, but she answers questions in one of them about being a cam model. And she talks about her struggles of how she actually had stomach issues for a long time and got to a very thin weight, and then they didn't know what it was, but she was able to somewhat bounce back, and she creates content as well for just, well, sexual performance and entertainment, and it's also portrayal of realistic body type in that sense. And she's very open, especially with her, she does more live stream type stuff. She's open with her, she's a lot more personal with her audience, it seems, in terms of interactions on the streams. I never sat in on one myself, but I've seen clips, and obviously, though she has more of a heavy prevalence on like people not reposting her stuff, she releases some stuff for free on certain sites, and others are privated for her own income, which that's her choice to do. And obviously, I respect that. But well, I personally have issues with what I wanted. I think people deserve the right, obviously, to engage with entertainment, even if they don't have the finances for it. Again, it's my logical view of not caring about money overall. But obviously, people need to make an income. But anyway, they're very good at what they do, very sensual and very passionate in their work. In her work, she's very passionate about what she does for it, and both just talking about it and in sexual essence when portraying herself in very vulnerable and sexual ways. So very much check out her work. Yeah, I had some honorable mentions here, but you know what, this video is getting too long. I'm gonna stop it here. So yeah, that was a rant of stuff. As usual, video didn't turn out how I expected. Probably won't be happy with it in a bit. I'm gonna get back to, I'll state this, I'm gonna get back to where I'm situated, edit this, do whatever else, and I'm just gonna say right now, whatever video, I'm gonna upload another video, probably not tonight. I'm gonna make another video soon. Before my birthday. My birthday is on December 8th. I will be 19 years old. I'm gonna, well, I'm gonna upload a video before that. And then on my birthday, I think it would be healthy if well, no, I think it would be some sort of benefit if I read my actual video game plots. I have them with me still. I've talked about them briefly. I've alluded to them on this channel before, and I've talked about how I wanted to be a video game writer. I was in the process when I left Toronto of typing out my 17th game plot. But then all this shit happened. Before that, in the next video, I'm going to correct some things that I said in certain videos that I was wrong about, that I realized. And yeah, just talk about how, just general stuff, I guess. Yeah, so hopefully this was of some merit. That is gorgeous beyond words. Okay, my god, that is beautiful. I want to try and get some photographs of that sunset. Hope I can get to a vantage point here where I can actually get some good shots of it. Well, at least I got far enough out of the woods to see a bit more of it going down. God, I'm out of shape. So, I'm walking along the sidewalk here, and I just noticed this. I've never bothered to take much notice to the sewer drain heads, but apparently they have some affiliation with Rogers, the Canadian cell phone plan company, and major corporate conglomerate. So either they're getting advertisement, they struck an advertisement deal with whatever company makes whatever metal material this is, sewer drain heads. They fund the companies that make these heads, or maybe they put some amount of money into the maintenance worker, like the organizations that keep maintenance of the sewer systems, or it's just supposed to be an or they are doing it as some performative advertisement for giving something back to the community, even though they actively destroy the lives of a lot of middle-class workers. So, and also, I wouldn't put it past them to probably have some affiliation to stealing people's data. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what this actually really is. I just know, I don't know.